I'm Kimberly Price, and I am the Principal Manager for the Community Programs team in MSRC, and it is my honor to introduce our first speaker of the day for a talk entitled MSRC Listens. Michelle Grun is the Principal Manager of the Vulnerability Response team. She has extensive experience at Microsoft even before her tour of duty in MSRC. She was the PM for the Security Update Guide API and added CVSS scoring for Microsoft vulnerabilities as part of Update Patch Tuesday. And she recently celebrated her 10-year anniversary at Microsoft. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Kimberly. So can everyone hear me? Excellent. So I need to start this off with a bit of a warning. So the following presentation is going to contain exploits, true stories, rampant honesty and integrity, combined with radical transparency, attempts to save the world. As such, it does contain some mature language, trigger content, and items which may cause discomfort, particularly to those of you in the audience who are in my team. You are welcome to leave now. Seriously, you've been warned. This is a bit of an eye chart, but I'm going to leave it up here for a few minutes for you to read it and take it in. Some of you are probably still reading. It'll be in the downloads in case you want to read it. I want to call out a couple things. First, this was an incredibly painful slide to put together. Second, it took me far less time to put it together than I ever wished it would have. These are true quotes that came from tweets about the MSRC, things that were sent in case files to us, and comments made about us. Some of my favorites. I love that we're called beastly demented psychopaths. Robots, that MSRC is dead. I'm not putting this slide up here to cause empathy for the Microsoft Security Response Center or the people who work on vulnerabilities in it. What I'm putting up here is to share with you that we are listening to you.
Hold on. I think I need to come back for this one, because if we're talking about finder impact and researcher impact, that sounds like a community program.
Yeah, you're right, Kimberly, it does.
Okay.
So I'm Michelle Grun. I'm Principal Security Program Manager for the Microsoft Security Response and Vulnerability team. My team is responsible, it's a team of wonderful people, responsible from everything from secure@microsoft.com, intake of vulnerabilities in whether internal or external, assessment and triage, coordinating with the engineering groups to get fixes completed, documenting those fixes, and putting them out, whether it's in a service or Patch Tuesday, and documenting it.
And I'm, as I mentioned, Kimberly Price, and I manage the Community Programs team, which is everything from open source security response strategy to events like BlueHat, and our bounty programs, our researcher engagement, Microsoft Active Protections program, anything external and facing the community in terms of our conference strategy, our speaking strategy, all of those programs.
Cool. So as Kimberly mentioned, I've been in Microsoft for a number of years, but MSRC for only about 3 years now. And it's been a very interesting ride. I picked this picture of the fallout shelter. I took this picture. It's actually a lava tube cave that is on the island of Maui on the road to Hana. And it is a fallout shelter that has enough supplies for 16 people for about 5 weeks. And it reminded me so much of where I feel we are today with regards to our state and where we are. So one thing that is important to know, this is where we are going. We're going to be coming out into the world and making the world a better place. And the way that we're going to do that is by radical transparency and partnering with you. The thing that I want to know, though, is I want to know who's in the audience. I know we did a little bit in the keynote, so I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently. Please raise your hand if you are an external attendee of BlueHat this year. Awesome. Thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for coming to this talk. Raise your hand if you're an internal attendee. Awesome. Thank you for attending. Raise your hand if you didn't want to admit to being internal after reading the quotes. Thanks, Dan.
Radical transparency, right there.
Yep, radical transparency. This is something that I put together in conjunction with Kimberly, and it's very important for me to help explain to you that we are listening and we are changing. But first let's level set. I'm sure there's a couple people in this room who may not know exactly what the Microsoft Security Response Center is.
So MSRC actually encompasses a great many programs. We have the team that handles secure at Microsoft.com and receives vulnerability reports from external security researchers. We publish or provide all of that great content for the Security Update Guide through partnership with the engineering teams. MSRC is a member of the Cyber Defense Operations Center. It's sort of like the UN of security at Microsoft. Different engineering groups have members that come together to defend our entire ecosystem across the company. We have the Researcher Top 100 and the Bug Bounty Program. We have the Active Protection Program, where we partner with industry companies to make sure that we're getting detections out to customers very quickly from the point of Patch Tuesday. GSP program, you might have heard of BlueHat. It's a thing. And we respond to our Twitter accounts for people who have to escalate issues to us through alternative means of communication. So we have tremendous breadth. We also have our own tools and engineering team that builds tools for us as well. A BI team. Those aren't so publicly visible, but we've got a great group of people who are helping us to continue to work with you, whether you're internal or external, to ensure the security of our products.
Cool. The pain that we're facing today is real. The pain that the researchers feel is real. There are horrible experiences that happen. The process for internal and external people can sometimes be opaque, confusing, non-repeatable, and it is not because of the people that we've got working in the team. I work with absolutely amazing people who are incredibly dedicated to doing the right thing for our customers and our researchers and our partners and our internal partners as well. We do hear this. All of these items that are on this slide, all of them were written by someone who was feeling something. We do hear it. The pain's real. This slide is what this feels like to me, and this is what it reminds me of. This is a sea cave. It's a little further down from that the lava tube cave that we showed before. It's also a lava tube, but it reminds me of where we are. The ocean is as if the red team, is the researchers. It's every one of us internally who's trying to find vulnerabilities in our products at Microsoft. Those of you who have, and I should say those of us, who found a vulnerability in a Microsoft product at one time or another, raise your hand. Be proud. It's really hard to find something, and I hope that the experience that you had was a good one, but it may not have been, and we're here to make it better. The ocean goes through every single crack it can find to find vulnerabilities in the rock. That's what we want our researchers to do. That's what we want our internal red teams to do. That's what we want people to do, and then report them so that we can coordinate vulnerability disclosure together. Standing inside that cave, watching the ocean rush in at me, it reminded me of where the team is inside the blue team and inside MSRC. I had the great honor last year to be a co-captain for the Microsoft One Hunt event. for the blue team, and it was a great experience. But standing in that inside the cave where the ocean is continually coming up, that is what it feels like. I'm not telling you this because I want you to feel empathy, but I think we need to account for the fact that things have changed, and they've changed incredibly fast. Thanks to MITRE, this is a chart of all of the CVEs that have been released by candidate and entry for the last several years. You can definitely tell that over the last 5 years, that trend has been going up greatly. It's gone up 9-fold since they started. It's gone up 5-fold in the last few years. In the last couple of years, they have changed a little bit about how they do CVEs. However, that doesn't change the landscape. We all know there are more products than ever before. There are more services than ever before. There's more landscape than ever before. But how does this impact, how does this look at inside Microsoft? This is the chart of MSRC cases over time. Each one of these cases represents something that we felt strongly enough that it could be a security vulnerability that we investigated and tried to repro. I purposefully left the vertical axis off because I wanted you to focus on the trend. The trend mirrors what we're seeing on a global scale. And most specifically, in the last 5 years, from 2013 to current, we have seen a dramatic increase in the number of cases coming in. And to be very transparent and very honest, because that is what this talks about, it's about radical transparency, the MSRC was not fully equipped to zig to that zag quite as fast as it happened. And now we're playing a bit of catch up. Interestingly, those of you may be wondering how much our signal to noise ratio is. We get all sorts of things into secure at Microsoft.com. The one weekend, actually a couple weekends, but one weekend that I was monitoring the secure at Microsoft.com mailbox, I have never been propositioned so many times or so many people trying to sell me pharmaceuticals. We have a large signal to noise ratio. It's approximately 1 to 10. So for every one item that we get that is potentially a vulnerability, there are 10 items that are crap. When you apply the spam filter to that and get rid of all this pharmaceutical ads and solicitations, you're still at 1 to 6. So one thing that, I'm not going to call my team out to have them stand up, but every single mail that comes into SecureAt is read by a human. And it's a human that's making the determination about whether it's a possible vulnerability or not. And occasionally, unfortunately, we miss some. This is radical transparency. Another item that's happening that we are working to prepare ourselves better for is the complexity of the universe. This is what we release for normal security guidance. 1 article or advisory, 1 CVE, 2 KB articles, and usually 1 researcher acknowledgement. How many of you remember where you were on January 3rd this year? Sharon's in the audience. She should raise her hand. Jorge, definitely. That was when we released the guidance for the speculative execution side channel attacks for Meltdown and Spectre. It was 1 advisory, 3 CVs, 16 blogs, 12 acts, 30 KB articles, all of those localized into 8 different languages. That was just January. We've had variants since then. The ecosystem is changing. Open source is changing. We have to be ready for the next iterations of Internet of Things, of quantum computing. And for those people who think that that's too soon to even start thinking about quantum computing, it is around the corner. And we want to be there, and we want to be listening to you as we move to it. I think our future is bright. This is where I think we are. This is sunrise at Haleakala. Again, I'm Maui, and I promise all the pictures aren't from Maui.
I think we're learning something about where Michelle likes to take vacations.
Yeah, places that are sunny and warm, and yes, true. But if you Google, use Bing. If you Bing magical sunrise, you'll find that Haleakala comes up an insane number of times. It's something like 138,000. I mean, it's just insane. And it's about 10,000 feet above sea level. It goes another about 19,000 below sea level, which makes it taller than Kilimanjaro. And it's super cold up there if you go up for sunrise. Why this reminds me of where we are now is because this is the awakening. Adding Kimberly into the team in the MSRC, the work that my team has been doing, all of the people that we've been adding are building on all of the things that have happened before. And we believe the future is going to be bright. I think everyone everyone in the room knows what the definition of a vulnerability is. But what's interesting is we even have our arguments, passionate discussions about what a vulnerability is, even within the Microsoft Security Response Center. Because we actually call it vulnerability with a big V and vulnerability with a little v, about whether it's an unintended consequence of software or if it's a configuration item. Point of the matter is, a vulnerability is a weakness that someone didn't mean to intend, and we need to fix it. And so we are being transparent about not only what our definition of vulnerability is, but also what our definition of our serviceability bar is. So I think you guys probably remembered, I raised my hand when we were talking about someone who'd submitted a vulnerability to the MSRC. I've submitted 2 of them. Each of them were rejected as not being part of the bar. They were being below the bar. Interestingly, each were later fixed. One of them was covered on the keynote at Ignite last year as a new security feature for a product. I feel your pain. We need to be transparent about what our serviceability is. We recently published the Windows serviceability bar. We are working with other engineering group partners to create their serviceability bars, so everyone knows when they're getting ready to submit something, if it is something that meets the bar. We need to be transparent. And as part of this radical transparency, this is our happy path. This is not what happens, but this is our happy path. An item is sent into SecureAt. That's great. We confirm, SecureAt, MSRC confirms that we received something, so there's a positive acknowledgement that goes back to the researcher. Then we confirm that we were able to successfully repro. The updates are sent on a fairly timely schedule when things happen and or when things are needed. A fix is developed. A bounty is paid if it's bounty eligible. The fix is documented release, and we acknowledge the researcher who reported it. That is the happy path to coordinated vulnerability disclosure. Should we run and hide now?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, good. Where we are today is here. We are not hitting all of the things consistently that we need to do, and we realize that. And again, it's not for lack of wonderful people. We have incredibly wonderful people. We have a very hardworking team that creates tools for us, but we are in the middle of learning things, and it's a journey that we want to go on with you. So we do understand that the path to coordinated vulnerability disclosure is not where it needs to be in the future, and we're working on it. We're a little like this ship. No, Kimberly, not Hawaii. Sorry. We're a little like this ship. Not exactly where we want to be, but we're near the ocean, and we're going to get there. So, for any of you who've ever wondered what the security servicing bar is, what is a bar, where do I go get a drink, this slide's for you. We are intending to listen, and so this is Satya's Microsoft. I know you and I had a conversation where we're talking about when you were coming back to Microsoft and why you were coming back to Microsoft. And I shared I was able to be honored and work with Satya when he was in Azure and present things to him. And I know that him coming back.
Well, it was clear that the culture of the company had changed significantly, not just the culture of MSRC, but the culture of Microsoft. And so we're not here taking accountability for these things for any reason other than we actually care and we want to do better, and you're our customers. Whether you're an internal product team or an external security researcher, you're our customer. And we have a commitment to you to listen to your feedback and work with you to do the right thing. And so that's what we're here to do today.
Yep. And I echo everything Kimberly said. My team will tell you a lot of things about me, but one thing I think every single person would tell you is that I do care. And I care about us doing the right thing for our internal and external customers. So we're listening in a variety of paths. Thank you.
I'm going to take over for a little bit. So community. This is kind of a big thing, I've heard. What's old is new again. I'm back at Microsoft for anybody who was here in the 2000 to 2009 timeframe. I worked on this team, and I can tell you that Microsoft founded the first security researcher engagement program in 2003. I was here. I saw it happen. We were the first company to hold a security researcher party at BlueHat. I am not kidding you. The press wrote articles, cats and dogs. Oh my gosh, it was like a junior high dance. All the researchers were on one side of the bar, and all the Microsoft people were on the other side of the bar, and we weren't sure if we could talk to each other, but we were trying to change our dynamic and trying to understand each other a little better. You all know about BlueHat. Look at this fantastic conference and all of the work and volunteers and speakers and guests who come in from all over the world to talk about security of Microsoft products in the industry, security that impacts our customers. We did contract consulting engagements with some of the best security pen testers on Windows. We were doing private security research grants as far back as 2005, 2006. But lots of companies do these things now. We can do more, and we will. We are going to do more, and you are going to see more programs to help researchers who maybe are really high volume and moderate impact improve their impact of reports. We're going to do things that help the researchers that are spending a lot of time on really complicated, hard research get the tools they need to do that and have the necessary conversations with our engineers to understand what they're testing. We're going to do all sorts of cool things with the community, whether it's at conferences here in Redmond, at conferences in other countries, in other cities, in other states. We've got a lot of stuff planned. So we're going to do a lot. One of the things you might be familiar with is our top 100 researchers. We announce it every year at BlueHat. And we invited all 100 of them to BlueHat. We had 9 of them come. We gave them little green glowy LEDs because they deserve the highest of 5s. They're on our top 100 list, and we wanted them to be able to identify each other and hang out and realize that they're special. How special are they? How do you get on the top 100? It's a little complicated. We're going to change that. We're going to make it a little easier, a little more transparent, something that you can calculate based on your vulnerability reports to MSRC, and not wait for just before BlueHat to find out, did you make the list? Where on the list? I don't know. So we're going to work on that because we value you more than just right before BlueHat. We value you all the time. So we're going to make sure you know that. Another area that is something I'm working on and my team is working on is bounty. It has been a challenge lately. We're late on payments. We have a backlog of payments. I'm telling you that. It's not a surprise to any of the people who are waiting for their payments. And I could tell you all the reasons why it's really hard. Our payment processing is not made for micropayments. It's made for, we're going to pay BlueHat $50,000 or $100,000 for a conference sponsorship once a year. It's not made for paying someone $10,000 twice in a month. Like, it's kludgy. And you know what? That's not your problem. We're Microsoft. We're going to fix this. And so my number one priority right now across my entire team is getting caught up on bounty payouts. And the number 2 priority after that is making sure this doesn't happen again, that we don't get behind on payments. And then there's a bunch of other things around Bounty, like making the terms easier to understand and making it easier to find the programs, making scope simpler. We've already done some things to improve the adjudication of vulnerabilities internally that should speed things up, provide consistency, but those are all behind the scenes, and you're going to see them in the future moving forward as we process things better.
I don't think anyone is as excited about that as my team. Thank you.
Yes, I know your team is very excited about this.
We are very, very excited about this. So we are also working deeply with our internal partners who help us with our tooling. Thank you, Dressman. We are working to create a variety of things. Some of the mistakes and items that we've had are not people process. Some of them are tools, and we're fixing them, and we're adding things, and we're extending them, because some of the tools were never designed to do what we're having them do now. And so we're pushing our tools team in ways that they never even imagined, and they're rising to the challenge, and we're getting things done.
Really quickly, if I can add in there, sometimes that comment, nice to see I didn't get credited, is about a policy decision in terms of someone reported a vulnerability to us, and then before we released the fix, for whatever reason, they disclosed it publicly. And our reaction is, well, we're not going to credit you. But we don't have that explicitly stated anywhere. And is that really the right thing to do? So we're taking another look at our practices there, because this is not 2003, where advisory credit was the end-all, be-all of acknowledgement. And, you know, we're going to make some changes there, too.
One of the other things that we've done that I wanted to expose in the act of radical transparency with this audience, in 2016 we added a CVRF API to our security update guide. It allowed our partners, customers, enterprises, anyone who wanted to download all of the information about our security updates via an API and then programmatically deal with the data. Prior to that, enterprises were literally screen scraping our security update guide. I can't tell you how many times people were thankful that we got this done. But what's interesting about what we did in the back end is this was the first time we were consuming data directly from our engineering group partners and programmatically adjusting it before it went out to the universe. Prior to that, it was all manual. So what that did was that drove a lot of quality upstream. And I would love to say that we're done driving that quality upstream, but we're not. We also introduced CVSS scoring because we heard that people wanted to be able to see Microsoft's take on CVSS scoring as opposed to a third party. We're the ones looking at the vulnerability. We should know the most about scoring it. So we started scoring and started doing CVSS scoring for Windows and for browsers. I can't emphasize this enough, and if you're a part of our tools team, this definitely should make you feel some pride. There is no way we could have released the advisory update for the speculative execution side channel attacks on January 3rd with our previous generation of tooling. No way. We wouldn't have been able to do it on time. And I'm here to tell you that the next thing that is the next quantum leap up in terms of complexity, which will probably come from, I'm thinking open source software.
Might be a thing.
Might be a thing. Our tooling is not ready for that yet either, but it will be. And that's one of the ways that we're listening.
All right. I have a bit of a teaser. I know, it's not really fair. We are making a significant tooling investment in improving not just our operational tools, but your interfaces with us. And I am so excited about this because it is going to change the way researchers interact with MSRC. I would love to tell you more, but those 9 researchers from the top 100, I think they've earned a private preview this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So I don't want to spoil it for them. But it has to do with how you report vulnerabilities to us. And we'll talk about it publicly soon, but not yet.
I can hardly wait. Also in form of radical transparency. Yeah, I really can hardly wait. I might crash the 4 o'clock.
I have to be here emceeing. I'm super bummed I have to miss it. Yeah.
I'll work on it. So we're also working more deeply than ever with our product engineering teams. We're working on creating joint scorecards that the MSRC and the engineering team presents jointly to our senior leadership together, so that we can talk about what went right, what went wrong, what can go better, and how we're doing in addressing vulnerabilities that are reported to us internally and externally. We're modifying our processes. Our processes need to be transparent. You guys need to know what they are. We need to know what they are so that we can do them and execute them in a repeatable manner. We are working to provide more redundancy so that everyone that is here from my team knows that we've been working on reorganizing our team so that every single area has more than one person that knows about it. Sounds simple. It's not always easy to execute and practice, though, and we're doing it, and the team is amazing. I think I've probably said that 5 times. I mean it like 400 times more than that. I could not be more proud to work with my team. We're also working with our CDOC, our Cyber Defense Operations Center, to help our customers understand what do they do when they get a pen test result. Do they just ship the result with no information to secure@microsoft.com? The answer, by the way, to that is no. But we're working on providing guidance that explains to them about making sure that there is an actual exploitability. Make sure there's information about what version of whatever it is that you're running. Items. As Kimberly mentioned, we're also working on more blogs, more tweets, more contacts than ever before. And it's not just us talking. This is us listening. We want to hear what you guys have to say. Underneath all of this is people. This picture it's a very powerful picture to me. It's a sailor who's watching out over a particular harbor. And this is all of us in this room. There is no one in this room, no matter whether you're internal or external, there's no one in this room who is here because they don't care about people. Everyone in this room cares about saving the world and helping other people, or you wouldn't be here. This is us, and we're in this together. So let's look back at where we've been.
Keep the feedback coming. Even if it's painful to read, we want to know how you feel and what your experiences are, internal or external.
Ask us anything. Provide us any feedback. We set up a brand new feedback channel. It's not in the slide deck because we wanted to make it available to you guys first. It's msrclistens@microsoft.com. It's a direct email to Kimberly and I. We want to hear from you.
Now, we're going to be here for the next 2 days. Tomorrow's another external day, and then Friday for the internal day of BlueHat. So by all means, come talk to us in person. But if you don't have a chance and you're in the community, I'll be reaching out to you. But if I don't reach out fast enough, MSRClistens@microsoft.com.
Yeah. And all of the case managers that work on cases, they're all listening as well. We will all take your feedback and listen to it. So we have heard you. We're continuing to hear you. We care more than I think anyone in this room really knows, because we do. And most importantly, we're changing. This is, for those of you who think that MSRC won't ever change, to get back to Chris's keynote from this morning about the cynical, it's same name, different people, it's going to be the same. This is not going to be the same. This is our promise to you.
And we're going to be accountable. We may not take the stage at BlueHat next year, but a year from now, we're going to talk about what we've accomplished since this day. And you're going to hold us accountable for it. We're going to hold us accountable for it.
We're even sharing an office.
That's true. Next week.
Next week. So we'll be able to hold each other accountable more personally. So let's remember where we've been and where we're going. This is the end of that sunrise at Haleakala. If you do get a chance to go, it really is beautiful. I don't know if it's particularly magical, but the clarity of the air is as clear and transparent as I want us to be. The brightness of the sunshine is the brightness I want to shine on our processes. It's the brightness I want to shine on what we're doing. Kimberly, do you have anything to add?
I need to go to Hawaii. No, I think we're absolutely going to get there. And I'm glad we're going to get there together.
Cool. So thank you. I hope that you join us in this journey together out into the beautiful sunlight, hopefully sunshine. So with that, any questions?
Yep. Dropping into MC mode. Let's have some questions.
And there's also one down there.
So I'm sure that some of the painful feedback you've heard about is the website and how that's consumed by IT administrators.
Mm-hmm.
What if you see all the public feedback? What are your thoughts on that?
I want to ask a quick clarifying question. When you say the website, do you mean the security update guide or MSRC on the web?
The update guide, the one that has the EULA that you have to accept.
I'm happy to take that.
Yeah.
So the security update guide is definitely something that needs some love. And we are definitely soliciting active feedback about what functionality that we want to do and how we want it to be customized. One of the things I would love to hear more about is enterprises of different sizes and customers of different sizes, whether it's an individual or say a large aerospace manufacturer, have very different, or a community researcher, have very different needs from what they want from the security update guide. We're still in the process of gathering all of the proper user stories for the next iteration of the security update guide, because you are absolutely correct. It doesn't meet everyone's needs today. It's better than where it was in the past, but it is definitely not where it needs to be in the future.
The reason I asked for the clarification is because we're also working on the website, our blogs, all of that content is going through a major redesign, as well as new content. It's all very static right now, which is great if you don't ever change anything, but that doesn't really happen in this industry. So that's also going through updates. It should be rolling out in the future.
Yeah, but definitely send your feedback.
Hello. So I'm probably an odd person out here. I'm from sales, and I sell Microsoft 365 down in Southern California. And so I'd love an opportunity to speak with you about all the customer stories that are brought to me about the MSRC. Some are good, some are not so good.
I would love to hear them.
Yeah, one of the opportunities for improvement is, are you guys going to be increasing that level of transparency for email spam submission that you are doing for CVE and vulnerabilities? At the moment, it's a very opaque process. It doesn't instill the confidence of the closed loop story that we often bring to our customers as a key differentiator.
That's a great question. I had never considered closing the loop on the pharmaceutical solicitations. But I think there's a larger part that you're absolutely correct. We do need to have some closed loop around the items that are misdirects, like please reset my Hotmail account please, or my Hotmail account's been hacked, or other types of spam items that come in. I think you might be right.
Are you asking more about when the customer reports something as spam?
Yes.
Okay, not that we've received
like
spam.
the junk email report add-in.
Oh.
A lot of times they're like, oh yeah, my submission went to MSRC, but we never get, there's never a response or an acknowledgement like, hey, we found this email, it's really bad phishing, we've added it to our ML model, gold star for customer.
No, I think that is a great piece of feedback. We'll definitely do coordinate with our Cyber Defense Operations Center folks, and yeah, let's close it. And don't hold it against me, but I was the one who ran the project for the active usage metrics.
Oh, whoops.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Grab me offline.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions? We have mic runners on both sides of the room. Oh my goodness.
I can't believe there's no more questions. That just doesn't seem right.
I need more steps today.
I know, like she's walking her Pokemon eggs. Come on, guys.
So since you guys don't have any more questions of us, I'm going to ask a question of you guys. How many of you were surprised by the quotes and surprised by this? Was anyone surprised? See, that is more telling than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a long way to go. If you guys weren't surprised by it, some of those, we have a long way to go.
We have one more.
Sorry, it's me again.
That's all good.
So, one clarification, on a lot of updates, there are changes to product functionality, and especially with Microsoft's focus on, increasing defense in depth. There's increasingly features that get enabled or features that are introduced into products that increase defense in depth. But there's a very, very small number of people who ever find out about these new features that have to be like toggled on in the registry or some other very special area where, there may be only a few thousand people that ever find out about these new features in some of these products. Like, if something gets backported to Office 2013, it's kind of an open-ended question, but what do you feel is a way on communicating those kind of product improvements for security and assisting the administrator in shepherding their deployments along?
I think there's multiple aspects to that question, and so I'm going to break them down a little bit. One of them is that we're not doing a good, and tell me if I've missed any pieces. One of them is that we're not doing a good enough job about communicating when we do defense in depths. And we do have some advisories. We do have random acts of blogging about them, but we're not doing a good enough job of putting them all in a consumable fashion. The second, and that feedback definitely accepted, that makes perfect sense, and we can work with our individual partners in the engineering groups to help make sure that we're using the right communication for channel for that. The second one is we're also not making it clear enough. Okay, so this is great. For example, there was a defense in depth item added to, say, Windows, but how do I use it, and how do I explain how to use it in my enterprise so people will understand why it's a good thing? And that's also a very wonderful piece of feedback.
Especially for Office, because recently they've added a lot of backported improvements, and they're very cool, but very few people know about them.
So it sounds like discoverability
Yes.
is a key issue here. Okay. I think there's an opportunity there. Thank you.
I think so as well. Cool.
All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, you've got a little bit of a break. We're ending about 6.5 minutes early. Thank you so much for Michelle, both for giving the talk and for inviting me to tag along. It was a little bit of a surprise. Not to me, I knew, but we didn't really tell anyone else, which is why the schedule didn't change. So we'll be around to answer any questions, and thanks again.
Cool. Thank you guys very much.
All right.
Thank you.